Joining us in the studio is a gentleman who does have a dream. We've known him for a long time, known him to be an outstanding young man. Greg Hammond is here. Greg is communications course teacher over at Southside High School. That's where he graduated.
That's right.
From Southside. Then where did you go to college, Greg?
Jackson State, then UT Martin.
Okay, on to UT Martin, and then into television. And when Mr. Jimmy Arnold started the communications course at Southside High School, was it long till he came calling for Greg Hammond to return, and that's what Greg has done. How you doing, Greg?
I'm excellent. How are you?
Fantastic.
What's up, Ass?
Hey, man, what are you doing?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. So here you go, Greg. You're married. You got
two kids.
Two kids now.
I've been busy.
I know you've been busy, and Greg's been working with us for the last year or so, and working on other projects. Mm-hmm. And I tell you, the projects he's working on is to I agree with him, to help make Jackson better, push it more into the 21st century. And now you've added on another log to the fire. You're running for county commission.
It's pretty simple. Can Madison County be a better place to live, work, and play? That's where you got to start. If your answer is yes, let's get started on it. If your answer is no, then you can do what a lot of people are doing, which is their prerogative. They're moving to other places. But, Madison County and Jackson's my hometown. I don't want to move. I just want to make it better.
That's why you're running.
That's right.
What do you think are the issues to attack first? If you had to rank them, what's the first thing you want to get after to improve? Well,
I mean, the thing I'm most excited about when you look at the platform I've put together, and I've got a lot of positive feedback about it, is the creation of a Madison County Sports Council. And the Sports Council, not only will it meet a need that's been here in Madison County for a long time, it could also help in the area of economic development. So, you think about, do I want Madison County to be a better place? For myself, this is my story. Growing up at Southside High School, running track, we didn't have a track. You hear about the success Jabari had, and he didn't have a track either. But that was 20 years ago. 10 years later, I'm teaching and coaching, and the kids still don't have a track. And when I go to Nashville and I talk to folks about getting a sports council together, they're amazed, they're shocked that we don't have a public track facility for our community and our students to use. That's just one small example of an area we can improve on.
I'm a little bit late to the game, but I was just telling Greg about my idea for a sports council on that break. He said, wait a minute, I've been working on this for a year or so.
As a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, about a month and a half ago, I held a meeting with the athletic directors from Union, Lane College, and Jackson State. They'd never met before. In a meeting together to kind of talk about what are some things their individual institutions need, and then what are some things as a community they see we could all use. Think about this. Union runs cross country. They participate in middle distance. Lane College has a track team. Jackson State will add a track team just as soon as the track is completed. Bethel runs track. Up the road a little bit, UT Martin runs track. Freed Hardeman runs track. But they all travel to do this. Why not build a facility in Madison County? And now, in addition to meeting a need for members in our community, we attract other teams to come through and compete. So you could hold and host college events, high school events, right? These people are going to come to Madison County, eat at our restaurants, sleep in our hotels. It's a win-win for everybody. And then the Healthy Heart initiatives, right? How many health walks do we have throughout the year?
Yeah.
There would actually be a place for the community to do this. So this is just some of the things I think about.
Greg Hammond is in the studio. He's running for Madison County Commission. What got the ball rolling for me, Greg, thinking about this sports authority or sports council for Jackson was the last 2 years being up at the spring fling calling baseball games. Mm-hmm. As you know, because you've covered that tournament, it's spread out across Middle Tennessee, not just in Murfreesboro. The preliminaries are held at places like Laverne.
Right.
And that facility, and the folks at Laverne are very nice, don't get me wrong, but that baseball field is substandard compared to about 5 baseball fields just in Jackson. When you talk about USJ's His baseball field is really, really nice. Southside got a nice ballpark. Jackson Christian, Trinity Christian, Union University's got a beautiful baseball field. Jackson State, and of course Pringles Park, or the former Pringles Park, would be is a nicer ballpark than MTSU, where they hold the championship game. To me, it's a no-brainer to go after the baseball championships, but they want to keep the spring fling all together. That means track and field. That means a running track that you just mentioned. We can put that together, make a bid, bring the spring fling here, and I tell you this, I had to stay in Nashville because all those hotel rooms were sold out in the Murfreesboro area. That's a lot of money. That's a big shot in the arm to the economy when the spring fling comes to town. Not only that, all year long, the road to Murfreesboro would become the road to Jackson, Tennessee.
So to do something like that, an effort that big, you'd have to have stakeholders and support from multiple areas in our county. And these are the conversations I'm already having, whether it be with the Chamber of Commerce or the Visitors and Conventions Bureau, the Madison County Sports Council that I'm trying to put together. We've already had 2 exploratory meetings. And so, one of the reasons I'm running for county commission is, Dan, I could either beg some elected official to pick up this ball and run it for me, or I can get this ball and run it myself. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running for county commission. The other reason is this, and it was kind of the term, the straw that broke the camel's back?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
You said it right.
Okay. So I'm at, this was back in February. I'm covering a basketball game for 101.5. South side is at north side. I go to use the restroom. There is a bucket catching water in front of the restroom door. Okay, old leaky buildings, no big deal. I enter the restroom. I go to use the bathroom. In front of the commode, guess what there is? There's a bucket catching water. And I think to myself, this ain't right, right? I mean, yes, it's an inconvenience for me for the one night I was at Northside to cover a basketball game, but this is a restroom people use, right? I mean, I'm sure kids use this restroom, right?
That's right.
And I think I'm a huge supporter of Eric Jones. I support his initiatives, but I think some of the other people that talk about where our facilities are, we're not really speaking honestly about the real condition of some of our buildings, because some of the plans we're talking about with the new budgets or the 10-year plan, okay, they don't address some of our oldest buildings, okay? So it's not so much pointing the finger, it's just, hey, what are we going to do to make this better? And again, if the folks who are already in the seats aren't having this conversation, then we need to get people in there who are willing to at least, Dan, have the conversation.
Greg Hammond in studio, running for Madison County Commission. Greg, what's your district?
My district is District 5, and it's a diverse district, okay? The most southern part is one side of a street in East Main, okay, on East Main. It goes around Isaac Lane, the Boys and Girls Club, okay? It catches Jackson State on one side, and then on the other side of the district, it catches Lane College, right? The train track in front of Lane College is the dividing line. So Lane College is in my district, but the old JCM campus is not in my district.
Okay.
So and then you go up a little bit north, the intersection of Campbell and North Parkway, okay? On one side of the intersection is in my district. The other side is not. One side of Campbell Street is in my district, right? It goes as far north as some neighborhoods near Northeast Middle School. So you know the new movie theater and then Northeast Middle School? There's a pocket of neighborhoods right there that are in my district. So it's diverse.
Well, it makes it, that would make it tough to campaign, wouldn't it? Let's see. Okay. On this side of the street, yes. On the other side of the street, no.
So, Dan, it does make it a challenge, but remember, my background is in journalism and reporting. So I'm not afraid to ask questions. And, I may not know the answer, but dadgummit, I'm going to find it.
I got to tell you, this guy here, Bass, he faces things, if you don't know it, folks, he faces things head on. You know, it's
Basically
just
says,
right
"Bring
at
it."
it. Yeah, Greg, that's one of the things I love about you most. Getting right after something, and very honest. If you don't want an honest guy that'll tell you what's on his mind, you don't want Greg. But I appreciate that about you, Greg. Now, you mentioned the schools. You mentioned the budgets.
Yeah.
I'm hearing 70 million floated around.
For
This-
what?
This, you know what was talked about the other day? Let me back up on
Okay.
it a bit, because I'm not sure. So I'll just retreat back into my shell.
Okay.
And
I heard it was $2 billion.
Easy, Bass. There's somebody out there on the text line that will believe that.
Well, here's the beauty of it. If I say it's $2 billion, then anything less than that is
That's
going to be
right. Fake news. That's fake news. But there's a controversy. Some people are in favor of the expansion of the Madison County criminal
Do we have
justice.
time to talk about that?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, some people think that it's taking money away from the schools
Okay.
to build the jail. What's your thoughts on the expansion of the Madison County Criminal Justice Complex or the jail?
okay, if you're going to have this conversation, you got to look at a big picture and you got to look at all the sides. You got to start at the beginning. We live in a county that went 2 decades or more without raising taxes. Okay, so you think about not investing in our infrastructure. Okay, you think about the needs that we have. We just talked about old leaky buildings, right? Talking about not having a track. These things that we don't have. Our county failed a state inspection at the jail because it was overcrowded, and so at that time, there has to be a plan of action, right? You're overcrowded, you got to do something about it, or you're going to lose your state certification at the jail, okay? And so you have a lot of leaders who jump on board to tackle this issue, okay? One of the early questions I had is, if our jails are overcrowded, Bass, who's in our jails? Dan, who's in our jails? If you're an elected official, those are questions you should have been asking. Who's in our jails, and what are the options? What are our options to fight overcrowding, right? And when I asked those questions, the response was, "Greg, that's a great question." And I'm like, "Whoa, you're an elected official.
Well,
You didn't
that's
ask
not
that
an
question."
answer.
And so that's the way I come into it. And so I toured the jail. I talked to the jail administrator. I talked to the people who work at the jail. It's true. Although the jail was built in the 90s, when you have a facility like that, just like a school, when you have a facility that's used by a lot of people, it ages faster, just like a school, right? But for some reason, it's the jail that people are passionate about and getting behind. And hey, let's really put our heads together to make the biggest, the most beautiful, the most up-to-date jail. However, that didn't seem to be the same enthusiasm they had when they built Liberty Tech, which is in my district, that doesn't have a track, right? That our kids have needed for decades, right? They built the athletic facilities there. It's been well reported, even in the Jackson Sun, about the weight room and the field house being really too small when it was built, or middle schools being built without a locker room, right? You got a gym with no locker room, and how that has an impact on the kids, right? These inconveniences. And so, Dan, I just sit back and say, why can't we have leadership and passion about some of these other things? Why? It's like all hands on deck for this jail, for this big, beautiful, state-of-the-art, up-to-date jail. Well, where was the passion on some of these other things? These are the questions I ask. So, Dan, yes, something has to be done about the jail, because if they don't, they're going to lose their state certification. My only thing was, is the answer really to build? Is the answer really to spend upwards to $30 million? Because they still don't know how much they're going to spend on it, right?
Right.
Was that really the answer?
Recidivism rates
Yeah.
north of 80%.
Mm-hmm.
You heard the same?
Yeah, and to explain what recidivism is to people, it means a likelihood that somebody will go back to jail.
It's a revolving door.
Right.
You come in, you get out.
Right.
You come back in.
Let me say that. Let me say something positive, because a lot of people accuse me of being Debbie Downer. But hey, I'm just bringing up some issues that are impacting my community. I will say this: when I toured the jail back in February, I did learn that Inglewood Baptist Church has a Bible ministry in the jail, and it's been going on for a long time. And talking to the people that work in the jail, it's been impactful. I would just challenge some of our other churches to call the criminal justice complex, call your county commissioner, figure out how your church can get involved in the prison ministry. Because Dan, when you think about recidivism or how do we help our community to be better, we have a huge faith community, and so in addition to challenging our elected officials, let's also challenge our faith community to let's get out of the pews and maybe do something, because helping out, ministering at the criminal justice complex is something you can do. Because what's going to happen when these guys get out of jail? Where are they going to go? Are our churches open to these men and women?
Well, and also the highest percentage of inmates are in their drug, alcohol-related crimes.
Yeah.
Treatment seems to be, and rehabilitation seems to be the answer to the recidivism rates going down.
Can I say this?
Yes, you can.
You know John Boehner.
Yes.
He was the former Speaker of the House.
Speaker of the House.
Right? And so here's a guy at the national level, right? He's on a board right now for a company that's going to help legalize marijuana, okay? No matter how you feel about marijuana, what you need to know is it's legal right now in some places, and the map where it's going to be legal is expanding. However, we have a lot of people in jail right now serving a lot of time for marijuana offenses. And so, right now, marijuana offenses, it's a higher violation. If you look at the drug scheduling, a lot of times a higher violation than something like meth, right? And you talk about what are people being impacted by now, right? As you don't necessarily hear about people dying from marijuana, but you hear them dying from meth and things like this. And yeah, there is a conversation that this is a mental health issue, but what about all these people who've been locked up for a product that folks are about to get rich on legally? Are we going to continue to have those folks locked up? And since the rules are changing, once we build this big, beautiful jail, who are we going to throw in it?
Well, and I want to, can we continue this?
Sure, Dan. I'm out of school. I'm a teacher on summer break. I got time.
Greg Hammond is certainly not a low-energy individual. Have you noticed that, Butte?
I
Because
did.
Greg, we don't need low energy. We don't need low energy. And Greg is not a low-energy individual. Greg Hammond is in studio with us. Hey, Beth Haltom is standing by with the Haltom Home.